Hi guys, this is Koree, and thank you guys for tuning in for my webinar for managing and post-processing my images. Usually when I do any assignments or commercial shoots, I always, first thing in my mind is I finish my shoot, I take my SD card and I need to put them in my hard drives and I need to back them up. So what I do is very old school. I don't have this RAID thing because many people have problems with the RAID, putting a file and transferring to another one. So I just do it very old school. I just have 2 hard drives. So I have like a lacy 4 terabytes, right? And I make it type disk A and disk B, and I throw all my card, dump into A, and same file, same everything, go back to dump hard disk B. And then I erase everything from my memory cards. People think, oh, why not we always have an extra 3rd copy on your SD card and whatsoever, but I guess sometimes you forget that you have data and you always doubt yourself, do I have this footage or not? And you always get yourself confused. So I rather just delete it. That I know I put it in disk A and disk B, and that's it. You don't need a 3rd copy because eventually when you forget, you're gonna put it on another hard disk, so you have 3 copies, which is gonna take some space if you're doing a lot of footage. So I rather just concentrate, make type disk A, disk B. Right now, these guys are my 2 favorites. These are ScanDisk SSDs. These are 2 terabytes. And it's amazing. It's very small right now. If I have a big client, if I'm traveling to, for example, Norway, or like if I want to go to another country, I can get these 2, put it with me next to my laptop. I finish, right now, I don't have to have my laptop. I can use my iPad, put my SD card, put everything inside this 2 terabytes. I guess 2 terabytes is going to be very fair enough. I mean, you'll never, pass by 1 terabyte unless you're using like big cinema cameras, using RED cameras, but we're using Sony cameras, so you'll never pass by a 1 tera or 1.5. I doubt that in one trip. So if you're going on an assignment, you can always have these 2 as one backup. Another thing is that you don't have 2 backups and you put it in one bag and something happens and your bag is gone, all your data is gone. So I usually put this in 2 bags, 2 different bags, or if I have a friend of mine traveling with me, he'll have one type disk A and I have disk B, or whatever, who is a model with you, is traveling with you, assistant director, whatever. But if there's always, try to separate these hard drives away from each other. So because if something happens to drive A, you always have your backup for drive B. And that's the whole thing about backup. All right, so this is the first thing before you manage your data, because you will never manage your data if your hard drives are lost. So this is the first thing you have to understand, and it's really important. I always be very sharp and like focused in this part. Now we're going to go to the managing my folders and how do I post-process and what kind of applications do I use. And it's very straightforward, very easy, not that hard. People think it's kind of too much, but no, it's very simple process. I try to get everything inside camera, but yeah, there's a nice image from Banff in Canada. It's one of my favorite pictures. A lot of people reacted to it, so I'm going to try to post-process it in front of you guys. All right, so first thing is first, once you have your data, I make a folder. There's 2. I have 2 of them. When I have disk A and disk B, usually I have my way of thinking, which is the name of the project, for example, Banff. So I just make the folder Banff, and archive is more of a date. I start the file by year, month, date, and then the project. So it's much more easier for me to find which year and everything. But usually my world, I just put the folder Banff because it's only 1 trip. If there's another trip, I was like Banff number 2, but it's much more better to archive your work in by dates. So it's easy for you to track. You'll never, if you continue this archive, you always remember where's your work, when is your work, and it's easy to come out like, okay, I want to search on 2000 in 14 November, we had a job on the date of whatever. You can always find it over there. So I'm going to do that right now in front of you. I'm going to show you my process. What do I have, what I capture, and working folder and everything. So basically what we do is over here, I just right click, new folder, creating a folder right now by the year 2020, and we are in the month of August, and the date of recording right now I'm doing it 17th, and this is a project in Banff. Oh, sorry. So this is how you always put your stuff in order to archive. Okay, now if I want to search, I just go like this, and I go like, all right, 2020 underscore, and you'll find that we have your folder over here. It's very easy. That the year 2020 August. It's super easy to find your files. You would never forget where your files are at. You remember your trip. You remember what year. So it's much more easier to find your files. So what I do is go inside. I have my capture files. So my capture files means the pictures I already taken. All right. And then I have my working folder. I'm going to explain to you more about my working folder. And then I have my resize images, resizes. So these are three stuff I have. The capture is the raw data files that I have. For example, here I have my Banff. Okay, you can see I'm not organized here, but see, like I have this. These are my capture folders. All right, so these guys go into my capture. All right, and then when I enter my capture to my Lightroom, I'll show you how to when these are finally done, where do I put my working folder, because I export my stuff to TIFF or DNG, depends on what kind of stuff I'm using. If I'm doing portraits, usually I export them as Photoshop files, because always there's layers of layers I work at. What I'm going to do right now is about a landscape, so there's no layers, but if you have an example of a portrait, I'll do it for you. So right now we're going to do this landscape in Banff. Okay, so now I use two softwares. I use a software called Lightroom and a software called Photoshop. All right, so these are some pictures I've taken. These are all files. You can see here of Banff. Selecting the pictures are really important. This one I shot, I believe, with the A7R Mark III, and you can see it's the ISO 50, 16mm. I'm using GM 16mm, and I'm using an f/22 and 1 second shutter speed. So looking at the picture, we can hide the sky over here. All right, so before getting to this picture right now, usually I do is when I import a picture, like if I want to import, I usually put, I just click here and I go like import, all right? And I want to go to, for example, my hard drive, and my hard drive, you can Banff, and then this is the second day. Here's my footage for second day. It's already imported, that's why you can seem like this is blurry, but if it's new, it's going to find it's new. So when I import, and then I just add here, add to collection. So the collection here, you can see, you always create by creating a new collection. Say, for example, Banff number 2. Sorry, I don't know why I'm pressing D. All right, and then you create this collection. And then you can see here, I have like the 600mm, I have the Aswan, Banff, Bikers, Fujairah, BTS, Sporting, for example, Ferrari, June 2020. So these are all my projects. I put them here in my folders. These folders, you will find it over here on the left-hand side, and you're gonna find it here. So you can see all my projects are in this area. So there's a time lapse. All these are stuff from my projects. If you want to open anything, you're going to find everything here on this side. So always when you import, first thing you do is import your photos and you add them to your collection, whatever collection it is. If it's commercial for sports or your passion projects, you name it as whatever you want, and you'll find that project, all your files inside. If you're doing a time lapse, which is a lot of files, so I say time lapse, for example, desert Milky Way. part one, then there's another shot, and etc., etc. So you can always manage your photos in folders, right? So here you have I have my selection of folders. Usually when I select, I have so many photos, I either rank them. So if I press 5, you're going to see that this is rank number 5, and I can always like go this here, and I can always go to rated, and you're going to find that this is the only file that I want. But yeah, I'm just showing you examples right now. These are all my photos that I captured. Let's go back to where we were right now. So this is like where's the rating 5 we had here. Let's see, like this. Yeah. So now I really love this picture. Got some dirty spots. We're gonna clean it later. We have some issues. We're gonna clean all this, any small like bottles, all this kind of stuff. We can show it to you right now what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, let's focus on the development of the picture. How can we make this picture pop up really, really nice? All right, so first thing is first. You can see right now in my Lightroom, I have the 2 temperature and tint, exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, blacks. And these are the main features here for the picture as a dynamic range. Here we have the texture. This part I really play around it later. This is one of my favorite features of my tone curve. I play with it a lot. It's much valuable for me for making the color pictures really nice. The hue saturation of course, and the split toning. And we have the sharpening, the luminance, and of course lens correction and collaboration. All right, so we go back up here. First thing I'm going to do is I want this picture to be looking. First of all, before I do this, it's important that if you want to print this picture on like print it, usually you lower your brightness to almost half, because people, when you print it, it has to be what you see right now on a screen is very, very illuminated, so things are more brighter. But when you print it out, it's not like as you see it on print. So you always have to increase the exposure a bit more, like a stop or two, to be exactly as you see it on the monitor if you want to print out your prints. But sometimes not everyone puts their brightness high, so usually you always have to put that into consideration. So I try to put the brightness, sorry, that's the volume, put the brightness a little bit like this part, so now you can see how I look, the picture how it looks like in normal or in average people's monitor, right? So you don't want to make it look super bright or very super dark. All right, so the first thing is first, I'm going to play a little bit with the temperature. This is the first thing I have to see. I kind of like it more because it's cold, it's water, it's freezing a little bit, so I want to make it a little bit cold. So I guess I can push down to like 5,000, yeah, 5,600 it's a kind of a good number. I like it like that, much better. All right, now we can play around with the contrast. I like to always increase the contrast. You can put it up to like 25. Don't worry guys, I'm going to play with it a little bit more. The highlights, I need to see the shadows on top and can see the water more. So I'm just playing around. You always, because we don't have any right and wrong in the picture. It depends on your style. So you see what's right and wrong. If whatever you think is right, it's okay. I mean, no one's going to judge you. But this is how I like my picture to come out, because this is my vision. So yeah, and then I'm going to push up the shadows. This is the best thing about the camera. If you see that you can push the highlights and shadows, you understand that your camera has very good dynamic range. And this is the A7R Mark III. It already has a very great dynamic range. So I guess I'm going to push a little bit more of the shadows so I can see more. So yeah, now I can see everything beautiful and clear. I don't see any kind of grains if I push the shadows, which means that everything in my exposure is right. It's not hitting overexposed in anything. So it's beautiful like that. Okay, but the thing is, something is really bothering me is the frame. Maybe it's not right. So I'm gonna go over here for, yeah, I'm gonna just make it perfectly composed. So yeah, I guess this is going to be right? A little bit more. Yeah, I guess this is right. So I'm going to close this. So yeah, this is much more better for me. Or we can make it a little bit to the left. Yeah, just like that. Okay, so that's now much more balanced for me. I really love this, that there's some trees on the top, we have some foreground, and we have the midground, so it's much more balanced and very well managed. So right now we're just playing with 4 slides, and still we have very great results. We're not there yet, so going down to the tone curve, all right? I guess we're gonna play more with the highlights. It's really important to see the highlights over here. Like, I don't always go to quarter, like this is 100. I always go to like see how the quarter will go, like it was 25%. And if it's okay, if it's all right, I keep it as it is. If it's not, I'm gonna keep on increasing one by one. The darkness is a bit dark because we decrease it. You can try to open up the darkness here, so now we can see more. So I guess 25, and if you go to 50, I guess it's nice. We can increase just a little bit, so we have, now we can see more of the colors around me. You know, so this is amazing about this tone curve, that we have things in very certain areas, not overall picture, but we have certain specific areas with the tone curve. It's really, really special for me. So yeah, so now, yeah, if you go to more like that, all right, perfect. Right, now the color of the water is very washed out. I really wish this can be more of a watery, bluish glacier water, which is supposed to be like that. But taking with the long exposure, I guess if we go down to the HSL, which is a hue, saturation, and luminance, we always play with first luminance. That's what I always play with. And we are trying to play with the aqua. So which is the water, and we can, if you make it there, but we can always like go left and right, see what color it can get you. I guess if you go a little bit darker, it's nice. And let me see if you increase the red, left, right, it's not that much. Yeah, let's go for, and then we go to the saturation, which we want now. Now we have this luminance is very, I mean, the luminance is the brightness that we make it a little bit dark. When we have more, we made the water more dark. If you now go to saturation, we make this dark to a more bluish color. I'm gonna show it right now. So if you go to saturation, and we increase the aqua, now you can see that, okay, now this area is getting the color that I really want, and it's getting really cool. This is what I really approached for. Like if you remove the HSL, and you can, this is the small box over here, all right? You can see over here my arrow. This is the on and off. So if we want to, we were right now on, let me close this so we can go one by one. We can understand what we were playing with. So this is the main box where we're playing with, all right? So if we, the tone curve, if we turn this off, it was dark, but we tried to illuminate it. And then we went to, sorry, this is the tone curve, yeah. And this is the reset area I want to show you right now. That's how it looks like on the raw picture, but this is with some tweaks and a little bit of color correction. We got this really beautiful image. Let's go back to split toning. Sorry, let's go back to HSL over here. This is the HSL. That's what we want right now. So yeah, this is really, really what we want, the colors. But now we want to make it more more better in the color. So let's go to sharpening. Here's the details. Let's go to sharpening. We want to sharpen the image a little bit more, so we can make it 70. Again, go to 50, 75. I guess 75, it's a good number. You can see here now everything is sharp and clean. Yeah, and then we can increase the detail radius a bit, not that much. And lastly, the details, we'll just leave it as 24. Luminance, I always like to do the luminance, so we always guarantee that there's noise, so I always go to 25. And that's it. That's what I do over here. Let's see the picture overall. Yeah, so I kind of like it. It's just we need to make it more contrasty, so we can always go back to the contrast. So if you can go and actually no, I didn't play around any place from the texture. So let's go to the texture and the clarity. If I increase the texture like 25% in the clarity it's a nice feature, but sometimes it messes up the whole picture. So right now the clarity is 0, but if you see, if I go like to 10%, it sometimes messes up the picture and it doesn't look realistic. So I'm just gonna go to like very, very slight 10%, not more than that. The texture is alright because it increases the texture. I guess, no, I'm gonna make that 9 as well, or yeah, make it 17. Increase the vibrance because we want that beautiful color to pop up, and a little bit of the saturation, so you get that green, nice and green colors. Again, I guess we can increase the contrasts and a little bit of the shadows. Now we're adjusting everything, but I can see the clouds. Oh, I have so many. So this kind of stuff comes out because of my f22. Usually when you shoot f22, it shows every single details of your sensor, and if your sensor is not clean, you're going to find a lot of bad spots in your sensor. So usually you always try to be clean and try to go to your stores and let them clean your sensors every now and then. All right, so yeah, I guess the picture is overall fine. It's too bluish and greenish. I might increase the magenta a little bit so you can have that nice purple bluish color. And yeah, I guess we are done here. Make it a little bit dark, lighter, yeah. Okay, so let's see before and after. You can see this big difference between these two, before and after. I guess the highlight here is a bit too off, so we can go like that. We go back to 14, 20. Again, whenever you go to reset and see before and after, you always see that these colors are not matching, so you just like to always go back to its origin. So let me see here to the, yeah, let's go back here. I'm just playing with the saturation and the luminance here with the blue. Yeah, let me go back to here, aqua. Okay, I guess we'll go back to the aqua here. And last thing is the highlights. We can increase it a bit. All right, so now the thing, as I said, the split, the tone curve is going through specific areas of the photos, but with this part, the main area is with overall of the picture. So if I don't like this look of the highlights, I really want to see the clouds that are cloudy, but if it's going to affect on the picture, I can go pull this back a little bit backwards to 50. What I can do is over here, there's a gradient filter, and I just can go bring it down, and from that part, I can increase my highlights, not affecting the bottom part. So you're going to show you over here, you can see the red area. Everything in the red area here is going to be affected when I play anything with the slides on the right hand side. So this is really important. So I just put a little bit highlights here. Now I can see more of the clouds. I love to always put some clarity on it. So now I can get more clarity on top and a little bit of contrast. So yeah, then close. Now it's getting much more better. I like the picture as it is right now. If you want to make this greenery, the trees for the green over here less, you can always go to the hue, and you can always play with the greens. Like this is green and this is like yellowish. If you want it, you can always play with this HSL. It's very amazing to play with colors. I guess I really like it when it's a little bit yellowish. Yeah, it's much more like an autumn feeling. It's nice like this. All right, I kind of like this picture. I have some, how can I say this? It's a lot of bad spots here, dirty spots. You can always go with this part which is a spot healing, but I really don't like this. I really like to control myself in Photoshop, and I'm going to show you why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press here. The best thing about Adobe is that Adobe is connected to all its Adobe software, so that's why I really love Adobe Creative Cloud. So I can always jump from Lightroom to Photoshop, and then when I save my file in Photoshop, it's going to go back to Lightroom. So now it's always saved in one place. So now here is I'm going to right now edit in my Photoshop file. So now I have my picture. I always love to add more layers. So what I'm going to do, the first thing on Photoshop is I just go to Command J, or I don't know in Windows, but if you go to Command J, you can always have an extra layer of copy. So anything happens, you have this layer. I see it's a bit bluish, but let's not go to the color tones right now. Let's go to cleaning. So the first thing I find here is that if you go in, zoom in, that this is a really bad spot. So what I'm going to do is, we have an amazing tool here. Over here we have an amazing tool called Spot Healing Tool. All right, so just decrease the brush, and if you just go like this, it goes away magically. It's much more easier than Lightroom. I just find this so much better. Okay, and I just go like that, just clean these spots. It's not nice when you print pictures and then you see this dirty spots. It's really bad. You just have to like maximize your screen, maximize everything. I guess it's a normal. Here it's nothing wrong. And if there's any bottles, sadly, you can see over here, it's just automatically goes away. The fence, I'm going to leave the fence because it doesn't make any sense because people know that there's a fence there. If you remove it, it's going to look like, why are you removing the fence? Everything here, you can see the picture, how the quality of the picture of the A7R is amazing. Texture is amazing, nothing overdone here. The water. Now we have the big part, which is the sky. Let me increase the Spotify. You can see it's never realized that I'm doing something wrong or something different. It's just playing around, just seeing any spots that's not clean. I'm gonna just clean it out away. More over here. I guess this part is done. Yeah. See these beautiful, amazing drops. Just realized that here right now with you guys. And oh, that's a lot here I can see. It's important to have that good eye, because if it's bad that when you post a picture and people see your mistakes. So usually what I do is after I finish this picture, I go to sleep, wake up, have a fresh eye, look at the picture again. Why did I do that? I can always adjust. So again, color correction is never by the book. It's always about your taste and what you feel and what you think is right for you. So right now, I guess this, yeah. Now you can see. I don't know if you can see it. No, you cannot see this. I mean, like, let's go here closer, and before and after. It's a lot of before and after over here. I am done with this part. I'm satisfied. Everything looks clean and nice. Picture looks nice, but it's kind of not matching the blue and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a curve, and I'm going to play with the color tones over here. So I guess I'm going to play with a little bit of the reddish, because this is the part when we increase red, everything's going to change a little bit. So let me go back down here. Yeah, this is try to make the color tones much more better. Okay, so if I go like this, it's no difference. Let me get you more better options. I'm going to right now save this, and it's going to be saved as TIF, all right? And now, when I open to Lightroom, you will find that there's another file here, number 2, which is your Photoshop file edited. So this is the normal original file, and this is my second file. You can see here. Sorry, this is the second file. This is the first. This is the first file, number 2. You can see all the spots here, and this is the file that after we went to Photoshop and we cleaned everything. So now you can always go back here. That's the best thing about Photoshop, Lightroom and Photoshop. Now we have the split toning. This is something really cool that you always can go to split. You can play with your highlights and your shadows of your colors. So I'm going to go to highlights. So this is now in the gray area. So this is the highlights. You can see all my highlights. I want to make it, now you can see it's only playing in the highlights area. So now I want to merge these two colors almost close to each other. So you just move your slider like this. Okay, this is nice. I really like it. So now we went to the more of a colder area with the highlights. Let's play with the shadows. If you go to a warm area, it will show that this is going to be the picture. But let's play around between warm and cold, and let's see how will this go. Yep, I guess this is a good result for me. We can increase the warmth over the picture, just a slide, and that's it. Voila, this is the picture that I want to process, and I can increase the vibrance a bit more, and yeah. So now it's not that very different between both up and down, and that's the image I want. All right, so that's it. So that's how I manage my photos and color correct one of my images. I really, guys, enjoyed and made an additional value for anything over here. Next talk will be about the Sony a7S Mark III. It's an exciting, amazing camera. I can't wait to have the camera again to test about it more. So yeah, tune in more on the Sony Middle East website, Alpha Universe. You're gonna find more other fellow ambassadors have amazing workshops out there. So sign up, follow the news, and see you guys in the next time. Cheers.